Joe, Mayor Joe Griffo, was in Rome. Where are you today, Mayor?
I'm in New York City, Bill.
In New York City, Mayor Joe Griffo.
We are actually about 2 miles away from the site right now. We're on the 45th floor of a building on 7th Ave, and we were on the streets this morning when the fires began.
Are you in? So you're in Midtown?
We're in Midtown, yeah, about 2 miles away from the actual catastrophe.
Were you there for it this morning as it occurred? As it happened?
We were, yeah. We were on the street, though, and just saw we were in ready for a tax anticipation note sale here today for the city. And, we're down, we first learned when the first plane crashed before we left the hotel room. And then as we were walking down 6th Ave, you could just see when one of the towers began to fall. You
actually saw it. It's pretty incredible.
From a distance.
Yeah. How does this? This? I guess this is the most vulnerable that we are when it comes to our own terrorism. We've been talking about it for years.
The city is very surreal right now. Essentially, everything is pretty much stopped. Subways, everything. You cannot leave the city at this point in time. People are actually. You hear car radios on, TVs everywhere in the stores, and people are just gathering actually in the streets. It's amazing. You can see people like walking in the middle of like 7th Ave and 6th Ave and things of that nature. But there's a calmness here. It's almost a surreal calmness.
It is as if we are watching a movie.
It reminds me of that movie, The Day After.
The Day After, yeah.
After the nuclear bomb hits.
Yep.
That's what New York City looks like now.
Exactly. It's just horrific. It is just we were discussing it, and it appears, the way the acts were conducted right now, that it was more symbolic than strategic.
Yeah.
In the sense that the city is basically shut down but still functioning.
Right.
And
we talked about as they're comparing this to Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. Well, Pearl Harbor had the Japanese continued to push eastward and across the West Coast. God knows they may have made it to Chicago before we could have stopped them. Here it's a different deal. It seems to be totally symbolic as to simply inflict pain because they haven't harmed our military. Our might is still there,
yep.
But they've hit us where it hurts.
Yeah, I think this is. It's just right now the horrendous loss of life is just. It's a very emotional experience in the city right now. There are people that are really just distraught, and concerned about people that they may know that may be in that area, and there are blood banks opening everywhere right now. It looks like the casualties will be in the thousands here.
It is. They say at any given time there could be. What kind of a crowd could be inside the World Trade Center? We were hearing figures of 50,000 people.
150,000.
Yeah, 50,000 people work
and over
in the World Trade Center.
150,000 visit.
Right.
But 150,000 in a day.
Oh.
But at any given time, any given moment, you could be looking at 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people
population
inside the building.
Yeah.
Just incredible, and to see that occur. What is? Our radio. We were told that radio stations, most of the radio stations had their towers on top of the World Trade Center, so half the radio has been shut down in New York City.
It has, but there are a lot of stations that, as I said, if you're on the street right now, basically everybody is gathered around wherever there's a radio, it's on, and you can hear broadcast as well as the vehicles like cabs have their windows open, and it's just kind of a strange feeling that every car has a radio on, and you're hearing reports, and then every TV, particularly around Times Square, obviously the big Panasonic screen. And
the Jumbotron.
Are all gathered, and it's just one of those very, as I said, it's kind of almost surreal.
We had a phone call this morning, Joe, from a lady that is in the Southport area, the Seaport area. And as she was speaking with us, telling us that she'd actually witnessed it, her building is right near the World Trade Center. As she's talking to us about it, the Trade Center imploded and collapsed. And at the very second that happened, her line was cut off. I got to tell you something. I don't think I've ever had such chills go up my spine as that happened there.
There's sirens everywhere. It's kind of like all you hear. It's almost kind of like in a war zone. And as you see, we're seeing the white smoke billowing right here. Construction workers are just standing in the scaffolding that they're working on, just looking in dismay at the scene. And it's just across, like I say, you're still a couple of miles away, and yet there's this sense of awe that everyone has that this tragedy actually has happened. I mean, last night we arrived here last night, and you saw the splendor of those two buildings, and then today you look and there's just white smoke billowing right now.
Yeah.
Has the National Guard been mobilized down there, Bear?
No, it appears right now that they're on a full alert that in fact, some of the loss of life, the horror continues, that all the rescue workers, the police and firemen who were in that area right now.
When it collapsed.
Yeah, and so we right now there's a police everywhere, and it does not appear. No, they did not mobilize anything. They're not saying where Mayor Giuliani is, but I guess he's given a press conference already, and the governor's down here also.
They do say that that fighter jets are patrolling the airways over New York City.
Yeah, we don't see anything. We're actually high right now and don't see anything in the air, not even helicopters near this area.
Wow.
I think they've really kind of stopped everything in the air, actually, unless there are military. I understand that the Navy is sending up one of the aircraft carriers to be put outside in the harbor here right now.
There's two of them being sent.
Just incredible.
I mean, it is a state of war. You're right. I mean, I would liken this to that. This is war, and it's just that it's a cowardly act by a faceless coward right now. But I know we'll find this out who it is. And but right now, I think there's just dismay, shock, and the first thing is to take care of the people that still that are injured and that still may be alive, if at all, and then also to ensure security across the land, really to allay people's concerns that that something may happen in the next 20 minutes again.
Now, Joe, I hate to say, but how do we protect ourselves?
This is a very difficult thing to protect against. There's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered, and today I don't think we want to start second guessing anybody until we want to take care of the problem and take care of the people right now, and also try to ensure that our security is beefed up now. And then after, once we get the answers to what took place and why, I think there are a lot of things. You're talking about 4 hijackings. That this had to be a lot more extensive than it just didn't happen overnight. And it's amazing that we didn't get some type of detect anything. At some point in this process.
They're showing shots of down near the World Trade Center where it used to be.
Yeah.
They're showing shots of just what looks like a war zone. It looks as if we're looking at Beirut or looking at Bosnia. Just a war zone of fire trucks that were destroyed. And it's a flattened out... I mean, is that New York City?
Yeah, it's amazing, and
that is New York City.
But also, I mean, the strength of the city and the nation is that you look everywhere else around, as I told you, and people are still out, and there are.
I mean, it's amazing how, in this country, it really is amazing how how just life goes on. Then I mean, as hard as this is and difficult to deal with, life continues to go on.
Yep.
And the country continues to operate.
And I think that's the strength of the country.
Yeah.
That's what the president was trying to impress upon, that we'll deal with this crisis, this tragedy, but it's not going to change the democracy and our nation. We'll get through this. This is a great test, but we'll pass the test, as he said. I think that was a great statement.
Now, when will you be back here, Joe?
We were scheduled to be back this afternoon, but we're trying to assess the situation, and we're hopeful that we'll be back tomorrow morning. As of right now, all the trains, we took a train in late yesterday, and as of right now, nothing is moving out of the city right now. In fact, they're considering reopening some of the bridges this afternoon because they will have to get the transportation network moving again. At some point in time, and
I'm assuming at this time the fears are that this is not a 2-phase plan.
Yep.
How would we react to the airplane? Well, we're going to shut down the airports. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And your hope is that they haven't had a phase B, a plan B, to inflict even more. But I again, it seems as if the pain it's simply trying to inflict pain on this country and to hit us. Where it hurts most.
Well, they've done that. I mean, as you said, I think people are likening this to Pearl Harbor. I think that's an appropriate assessment. I mean, we were obviously caught off guard, and there will be a horrific loss of life. And then from a symbolic standpoint, this was a building that was hit in 1993, and here we are now. That I'm telling you, Bill, the amazing part is it because you've seen it in the past. to be here last night and to see this building standing, and to be here the next morning and it's down,
gone,
with so many people dead. It's just, as I said, it's really it's undescribable, actually.
You know,
well,
you have to
just incredible.
You have to think of the. I know it's an old adage, but for the grace of God. I mean, Mayor Julian stayed in the hotel in the World Trade Center less than a month ago. Mayor Griffo could have very easily have been there this morning.
Correct.
And think of the people. One of the things we're getting here at home is dealing with is a lot of people have family, friends, family, children. Young kids, family here with a 22-year-old who's working down at the World Trade Center. They have no contact with their family members right now. They have no idea if those people are alive.
I think right now it's almost impossible to make determinations unless you are alive and have been able to reach contact. The other thing is the phones are really disrupted here right now. The cell phones essentially are non-existent. They will not work. We've tried to use that, and many of the towers were in that area on some of those large buildings. And so the landlines at least are functioning now, which is a credit, I think, to the infrastructure here too. But it's very difficult, and I think right now it's going to be a while before people really start learning, how many and who, unfortunately.
Yeah. Joe, we thank you for your call. We wish you the best down there, and we'll certainly talk with you when you get back here.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Bill and Frank.
Thank you so much.
Be safe, Joe.
Mayor Joe Griffo in New York City this morning for this. He arrived last night. He's in the city. We'll come back to this in a second. It's at 12 before 2 o'clock. It is Keeler in the Morning on, and a bit in the afternoon. Probably the worst tragedy we've ever dealt with in our lifetime. We'll move on. Come back here in a second. I have a bunch of cancellations to get into.